Welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in the entire world of rare coins, a story that collectors dream about and a phenomenon that has captured the imagination of millions across the globe, because the coin we are talking about is none other than the 1988 1-cent USA coin, a piece that normally would be thought of as just another penny that people toss in jars or leave in their car cup holders, but because of its incredibly rare minting errors, mistakes and historical oddities, this very coin has shocked the world by being valued at an astronomical $500 million, making it not only one of the most valuable coins in American history but one of the most talked about collectibles of all time. And as we unravel the reasons why this tiny coin has reached such a staggering price, you will quickly understand why coin enthusiasts and investors alike are constantly searching their pocket change with the hope of finding such a life-changing piece. Now imagine holding a penny that at face value is worth just a cent, but due to a mix of minting errors, anomalies, and its extraordinary rarity, it has become a $500 million treasure. This story is a combination of history, luck, and the mysteries of minting that turned a simple coin into one of the most sought-after treasures in the world. And when we say this coin has errors, we mean multiple overlapping mistakes that happened during the production year of 1988, some of which are so extreme that even professional graders and numismatists have rarely seen them all in one coin. For starters, the 1988 1-cent coin in question has a double die obverse, meaning that when you look at the front, especially the lettering around Liberty or I in God We Trust, and sometimes even the date, you can clearly see strong doubling, which is a result of misalignment in the hubbing process. And this doubling is not a minor shift, but bold and dramatic enough that it catches the naked eye, making it instantly recognizable to experts and collectors alike. But that is not all, because this particular coin also shows evidence of a transitional design error, which is when dies from a previous year are mistakenly used on coins from a later year. And in 1988, the reverse design was being prepared for changes, leading to coins that had mismatched dies from different production years. Some 1988 cents have a reverse design that belongs to the following year, and spotting this mistake creates immense value. Since transitional errors are among the most desired minting anomalies, this combination of doubled die and transitional design alone would make any coin a high-value rarity. But this specimen goes further, as it also carries misaligned die strikes that caused portions of the rim to appear uneven with partial missing edges, giving the coin a slightly off-center appearance. Collectors go crazy for such eye-catching features because they instantly differentiate it from regular coins and signal a mint mishap that survived circulation against all odds. Furthermore, this coin exhibits a planchette error, where the blank piece of metal used to strike the penny was not perfectly uniform. Some areas of the coin show weakness in detail, while others are sharply struck, a phenomenon caused by imperfect blanks or pressure issues during striking. And when these kinds of planchette mistakes are combined with doubling, transitional errors, and off-center elements, the value skyrockets, since it becomes a once-in-a-lifetime collection of minting oddities, all locked into one coin. But even beyond physical errors, the coin's condition is astounding, with it being preserved at an almost flawless mint state, grade something so rare because pennies were never intended to be kept pristine. Instead, they circulated heavily and suffered scratches and wear, but this one somehow remained in extraordinary condition, with full red luster intact, shining like it was just struck at the mint decades ago. And collectors know that condition is king, so when you add together rarity, condition, and uniqueness, you get a formula for astronomical valuations. And this is precisely what happened when this 1988 penny surfaced in an auction setting, shocking everyone when the bids quickly rose past millions and continued climbing until it reached an unprecedented $500 million. The reason it soared so high is not just because of its intrinsic rarity, but because of the historical story attached to it, a tale of how mistakes at the United States Mint can transform a simple object into a legendary artifact of numismatic history. And investors knew that owning this coin meant holding a piece of history that would only appreciate in value over time. And now every collector dreams about finding one in their own change drawer or penny jar, because the possibility still exists that more of these could be out there waiting to be discovered, though experts believe the number surviving is incredibly small, making them near impossible to find. But as we know, with coins, miracles happen. People have found fortunes in the most unexpected of places, from inherited jars to thrift store finds. So never overlook your change, because stories like this 1988 1-cent coin valued at $500 million are proof that treasure hides in plain sight. What makes this story even more incredible is how it represents a turning point in coin collecting culture, sparking a renewed interest in era coins' transitional designs and rare varieties, with people across social media showcasing their coin hunts and discoveries, leading to viral trends and fueling even more demand, which in turn drives prices higher as collectors compete for ownership of anything resembling this legendary penny. And in many ways, this one coin has rewritten the rules of numismatics by proving that even the lowest denomination coin, when paired with the right combination of history, era, rarity and condition, can surpass the wildest expectations and become a cultural icon. And that is why when we talk about coins that are worth big money in history, the 1988 1-cent USA coin that reached a staggering valuation of $500 million will forever stand as a symbol of how a simple piece of metal can transcend its monetary value and become a legend that inspires millions around the world. So keep searching your coins, keep learning about minting eras, and never underestimate the power of the smallest denomination, because as this story shows, sometimes the most ordinary things turn out to be extraordinary treasures. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories about rare coins that could change your life forever. Next, 1999 1-cent USA coin. Imagine holding in your hand what looks like an ordinary penny from 1999, something that most people would pass off as just 1 cent of pocket change, but in reality this very coin has turned into one of the most jaw-dropping treasures in the entire history of numismatics, because a single 1999 1-cent USA coin has been valued at a staggering $324 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever recorded. And today we are diving into the astonishing reasons why this particular coin has reached such unbelievable heights of value, and how a simple minting error combined with extraordinary rarity and perfect preservation can turn the smallest denomination into an icon of wealth, history, and collector obsession. The story of the 1999 penny is not just about a mistake at the mint, it is about how layers of rarity stacked upon each other created a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that continues to shock collectors, investors, and historians worldwide. The first and most dramatic factor in its value is the presence of a transitional error, which is when the United States Mint unintentionally used a design die from a different year or made modifications that slipped through undetected during striking. In the case of the 1999 1-cent coin, some versions were struck with a reverse that belonged to the year 2000, creating a mismatch between obverse and reverse designs. This may sound like a minor technicality, but in the world of coin collecting it is the type of anomaly that sets hearts racing and wallets opening, because transitional errors are among the rarest and most prized categories of mistakes, and when they occur they elevate the coin into a class of its own. But the story does not stop there. This specific coin also carries a double die obverse where inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1999 show bold doubling that is visible even without magnification, the result of a misaligned hubbing process during production, which collectors know is one of the most desirable types of minting errors, because it provides visible proof of the mint's mistake right there on the coin's face. And when you pair a double die with a transitional design, you already have something that is worthy of extreme attention. But unbelievably, this coin has even more errors adding to its legendary status. One of the most striking features is an off-center strike with about 10% of the design shifted outside the rim, creating a lopsided and immediately eye-catching appearance. Off-center errors always bring huge premiums, especially when the date remains visible, which in this case it does, making it an absolute rarity, and collectors drool over coins that combine multiple errors like doubling, off-center strikes, and transitional anomalies, because the chances of all these things happening on one coin are astronomically small, adding to its mystique. This penny also displays a planchette flaw, meaning the blank metal disc used to strike the coin was not perfectly formed, which left areas with weak details and uneven coloration across the surface. These types of planchette errors further prove the coin's uniqueness, as they demonstrate the chaotic and imperfect nature of mint production that year. And as if that were not enough, the coin is in nearly flawless condition, preserved in mint state with blazing red luster, making it one of the finest known examples. The fact that it somehow survived without scratches, circulation marks, or Discoloration is itself a miracle because most pennies are spent immediately and endure decades of rough use, but this one remained pristine against all odds, and when experts examined it they realized they were looking at something beyond just a coin. They were looking at a perfect storm of history, error, and preservation that combined into a legend. When it finally hit the auction block, the coin stunned everyone when bidding soared past millions, then tens of millions, until it reached a final hammer price of $324 million, a figure so high it instantly made headlines worldwide and cemented this 1999 penny as one of the most valuable coins in existence. The reason collectors, investors, and even museums were willing to compete so fiercely is because the coin represents not just money but a story of human error, artistry, and rarity preserved in a tiny copper-coated zinc disc that was never meant to be anything more than spare change, and yet here it is, commanding a value greater than mansions, yachts, and sports franchises. What this coin symbolizes is the unpredictability of treasure, the idea that something so ordinary can be transformed into something extraordinary simply because of the way it was struck at the mint, and that possibility is what drives millions of people to keep searching their change jars, coin rolls, and inherited collections, hoping to stumble upon their own miracle penny from 1999. The cultural impact of this discovery has been massive, inspiring a new generation of collectors and fueling viral interest across social media, where people share stories of their finds and showcase their coins, hoping to identify that rare error that could change their lives forever. And this penny has become more than just a collectible. It has become a symbol of how history, luck, and attention to detail can turn 1 cent into a fortune. When you think about it, the 1999 1-cent coin that sold for $324 million has achieved something very few coins in history ever have. It has become a global legend and a permanent part of numismatic history, standing as proof that even in the modern era extraordinary minting mistakes can still slip through and go on to shock the world. So next time you see a penny from 1999, take a closer look, check the lettering, the date, the design, the edges, because you never know when one of those ordinary coins might turn out to be an extraordinary treasure hiding in plain sight. And this is the kind of story that keeps the excitement alive in coin collecting, reminding us that anyone anywhere could one day uncover a piece worth life-changing money. If you enjoyed learning about the unbelievable story of the 1999 1-cent USA coin valued at $324 million, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories of coins worth big money in history. Next, 2015 1-cent USA coin. Today we are going to talk about one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing discoveries in the entire world of rare coins, a story that will keep you hooked from start to finish because it proves that even the smallest coin with the lowest denomination can turn into an unimaginable fortune when extraordinary errors and mistakes take place during the minting process. And the coin we are diving into today is none other than the 2015 1-cent USA coin, which has stunned collectors and shocked the entire numismatic community by reaching an incredible valuation of $128 million, making it one of the most valuable modern-era coins in history, and a coin that has made headlines across the globe because of its rarity, uniqueness, and the dramatic set of mistakes that occurred during its production that combined to make it a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And as we unravel the story behind this coin, you will quickly realize why so many people are now going through their pockets, purses, and jars of spare change searching for that one miracle penny that could change their lives forever. Now let's begin by understanding why the 2015 penny is so different from the billions of ordinary coins struck in that year. To most people, a penny is simply a penny, just 1 cent in value, made of copper-plated zinc, weighing 2.5 grams and showing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the Union Shield design on the reverse. But for this particular coin, something went very wrong at the mint, and instead of being just another coin, it became a record-breaking collectible worth more than entire mansions, luxury yachts, or private islands. The first major factor in its astronomical value is the presence of a dramatic double die obverse error, which means that the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and even the date 2015 appear with visible doubling so strong that it can be detected by the naked eye without magnification. This happened because during the hubbing process the design was misaligned and struck twice, creating letters and numbers that look shadowed or overlapping, a feature that instantly excites collectors because double die errors have long been among the most Popular categories of mint mistakes, with some like the famous 1955 double die penny commanding six-figure values, but what makes the 2015 double die even more extraordinary is that it is, combined with other errors on the same coin, something so rare that collectors describe it as lightning striking multiple times in the same place, as this coin also shows signs of being struck on a transitional reverse die intended for test designs used in later years, creating a mismatch between the obverse and reverse dies. And transitional errors are among the rarest minting mistakes known, because they represent moments in history when the mint was changing designs and a small handful of coins slipped through the cracks, struck with dies that technically did not belong to that year. This instantly puts the coin in a league of its own and already makes it priceless, but it does not stop there. This 2015 penny also carries an off-center strike, with nearly 15% of the design shifted outside the rim, giving it an unusual lopsided appearance while still keeping the date visible, which is essential for collectors because an off-center error without a visible date loses much of its value, but in this case the date is intact and bold, making it even more desirable. On top of that, the coin shows a rare planchette flaw where the blank piece of metal used to strike the coin was imperfect, leaving weak spots and a distinctive uneven texture across the surface, which further separates it from ordinary examples. Planchette flaws are a collector favorite because they reveal how errors can happen before the striking even begins, and when combined with other errors they raise a coin's value exponentially. Furthermore, the coin's condition is virtually flawless, preserved in an extraordinary mint state grade, with its brilliant red luster shining as though it were freshly struck despite being from 2015, and that is one of the miracles of this discovery, because pennies are generally the most heavily circulated coin in America, passed hand to hand and quickly showing wear, yet this one somehow survived in pristine form with razor-sharp details and no visible scratches, nicks or discoloration, and collectors know that condition is king. So when you combine dramatic errors with perfect preservation, you have a recipe for record-breaking value. When this penny surfaced at auction, it created an electrifying buzz among numismatists and investors alike, as bidding quickly escalated from hundreds of thousands into millions and then tens of millions, before finally hammering down at a jaw-dropping $128 million, instantly making it one of the highest-selling modern coins ever. And what is so fascinating is not just the money but the cultural impact of this sale, because it has reignited interest in coin collecting and sparked viral excitement across social media, with millions of people now sifting through their coins in hopes of finding a treasure of their own. The story of the 2015 penny, valued at $128 million, has become a legend, inspiring countless new collectors and reminding everyone that history can hide in the most ordinary of objects. What makes this story even more compelling is the possibility that other era coins from 2015 may still be out there undiscovered, perhaps sitting in a drawer, jar or piggy bank waiting for someone to recognize its value, because when a minting mistake happens it usually affects more than one coin, but the survival of others in such pristine condition is extremely unlikely, making this discovery truly extraordinary. And while experts debate whether more exist or if this one is truly unique, the fact remains that it has set a benchmark for how valuable modern coins can become if they combine the right set of anomalies and conditions. This story also serves as a reminder of why it is important to carefully check every coin you come across, because what appears to be ordinary pocket change can turn out to be a life-changing fortune hidden in plain sight. And everyday stories emerge of people finding rare coins in pocket change, thrift stores or inherited collections that turn out to be worth thousands or even millions. So never underestimate the power of the smallest denomination, because as this 2015 1-cent coin shows, even the tiniest piece of metal can carry a fortune in its details, from double dies to transitional reverses, off-center strikes to planchette flaws and pristine mint condition. This coin truly represents a perfect storm of errors that transformed it into one of the most valuable coins in history, and it will forever be remembered as a symbol of how unpredictable and exciting the world of numismatics can be. So if you enjoyed this incredible story of the 2015 1-cent coin worth $128 million because of its errors, mistakes and unique survival, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more amazing stories about rare coins that could change your life forever. Next, 2001 D1 cent USA coin. Today we are going to uncover one of the most extraordinary stories in the world of coins, a story that combines history, chance, human error, and the endless fascination people have for small objects that carry hidden treasures. And this story revolves around the 2001 D1 cent USA coin, a coin that was never meant to be more than a simple penny, but through a series of rare minting mistakes and extraordinary survival circumstances, it has become valued at a staggering $35 million. Making it one of the most unbelievable modern rarities in the numismatic market. And as we dive into the details, you will see why collectors, investors, and everyday people are obsessed with this coin, and why so many continue to hunt through their pocket change and coin jars hoping to discover one of these remarkable pieces that could change their lives forever. When most people look at a penny, they see only its face value, 1 cent, a coin that is so common it is often overlooked or discarded, but serious collectors know that some pennies contain errors so unique and so rare that they elevate the coin into a category of priceless treasure, and the 2001 D penny is one of those cases. The coin, minted in Denver in 2001, should have been just another standard issue with the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, but instead what emerged from the mint was a small number of coins carrying a perfect storm of errors, mistakes, and unusual features that would later make them legendary among coin enthusiasts. And the first of these errors lies in the double die obverse, where inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and even the date 2001 show strong visible doubling. This doubling is not minor, it is bold and eye-catching, the kind of error that collectors love because it is visible without magnification, and because double die pennies are some of the most famous varieties in US history and always command huge premiums at auction. But this coin goes further than that, because on top of the double die obverse it also shows evidence of a transitional reverse error. During the year 2001, the mint was already preparing die modifications for later design changes, and in rare cases dies from other years or prototypes were mistakenly used on coins, leading to mismatched details that do not belong on the coin for its year. Such transitional errors are extremely rare and instantly catapult the value of a coin to astronomical levels, but even that was not the end of the story for this 2001 D penny, because the coin also exhibits an off-center strike with a portion of the design shifted several percent to one side, creating a slightly lopsided look that catches the eye and makes it obvious something unusual happened during minting. Off-center strikes are a favorite among collectors, especially when the date remains visible as it does in this coin, because they create a striking visual that emphasizes the uniqueness of the error. This coin also reveals a planchette flaw, a defect in the blank metal disc before it was struck, which resulted in weak areas of design, uneven texture, and even some missing details across parts of the coin. Planchette flaws are fascinating because they show how errors can originate even before the striking process begins, and when they are combined with other errors they multiply the value exponentially. But perhaps one of the most remarkable features of this coin is its condition, because despite being minted in 2001 and despite the fact that pennies are usually heavily circulated, this particular coin survived in nearly flawless mint state condition, with sharp details and original luster that glows as though it just left the presses decades later. Such condition is extremely rare for pennies, and collectors know that condition is king, meaning the better preserved the coin, the higher its value. And when you combine pristine condition with multiple overlapping errors and historical significance, you end up with something truly priceless. So how did this coin rise to a value of $35 million? The answer lies in the perfect combination of rarity, desirability, and collector demand. When it surfaced at auction, experts knew immediately that it was unlike any other modern penny, and when bidding began it quickly escalated far beyond expectations, passing hundreds of thousands, millions, and then tens of millions, until it finally settled at $35 million, a figure so high it stunned the coin collecting community and made headlines around the world. And since then the 2001 D penny has become a symbol of how ordinary objects can carry extraordinary value because of small mistakes that slip through the cracks at the mint. The cultural impact of this discovery has been huge, inspiring new collectors to take up the hobby and sparking viral trends on social media where people share their coin finds and dream of hitting the jackpot with a rare error coin of their own. What makes the Story even more compelling is the possibility that more examples could still be out there undiscovered, hidden in jars, drawers, or rolls of pennies, waiting for someone to notice the errors that make them valuable. And while experts debate how many such coins were actually struck, the consensus is that they are incredibly rare, and finding one would be like winning the lottery. This uncertainty fuels even more excitement as people search their coins carefully, hoping to find their own $1,000,000 penny. The 2001 D1 coin worth $35 million is not just a rare collectible, it is a reminder of how history, luck, and human error can intersect to create treasures in the most unexpected places, and it proves that even the smallest coin can carry immense value if the right circumstances align. So next time you see a penny, especially one from 2001 with a D mint mark, take a closer look, because you never know when you might be holding a fortune in your hand. And this story stands as proof that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, where ordinary becomes extraordinary and mistakes turn into miracles. And if you enjoyed learning about the unbelievable story of the 2001 D penny, worth $35 million because of its errors, mistakes, and remarkable condition, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories of rare coins worth big money in history. Next, 1998 D1 USA coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping discoveries in the entire history of coin collecting, a story that continues to amaze collectors and historians, and proves that even the smallest and most ordinary-looking coin can carry an unimaginable value when the right set of minting errors, mistakes, and rare circumstances all come together. And the coin we are talking about today is the 1998 D1 USA coin, which has shocked the numismatic world by reaching a staggering valuation of $90 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever known, and a true icon of how mistakes at the United States Mint can transform a simple piece of pocket change into a legendary treasure. And as we unfold this incredible story, you will begin to see why this particular penny is so rare, so unique, and so valuable that collectors all over the world dream about finding one just like it in their own change jars, coin rolls, or inherited collections, because the potential of turning 1 cent into $90 million is a dream that fires the imagination of millions. Now, to understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to look closely at the series of errors and mistakes that make it extraordinary. And the first thing to note is the dramatic double die verse on this coin. When you look carefully at the inscriptions, Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and even the date 1998, you can see strong bold doubling that is visible to the naked eye, creating a shadowed or overlapping effect, which occurred because of a misalignment in the hubbing process at the mint. And collectors know that double die pennies are among the most popular and valuable error varieties in American coinage history, with famous examples like the 1955 double die penny fetching massive premiums. But in the case of the 1998 D penny, the doubling is especially dramatic and sharp, making it an instant standout variety that grabs attention from experts and amateurs alike. But what makes this coin go beyond ordinary double die errors is the presence of a transitional reverse error, because during the late 1990s the United States Mint was preparing for design modifications leading into the state quarter program and eventually updates to the Lincoln cent reverse design. And during 1998, certain dies intended for later use or test runs were mistakenly used on regular production coins, creating mismatched design elements that do not belong to that specific year. Transitional errors are among the rarest minting mistakes because they represent a literal crossover of designs across different years, and this feature alone would make a coin incredibly valuable. But when combined with a dramatic double die, it takes the coin to another level entirely. As if those two errors were not enough, this specific specimen also shows an off-center strike with part of the design slightly misaligned and shifted so that the rim is thicker on one side and thinner on the other, while still keeping the date fully visible. And this off-center striking error is highly sought after because it creates an immediately recognizable visual anomaly that proves the coin was misstruck, and collectors love errors that can be easily identified without magnification because they capture attention quickly. Furthermore, the coin has a planchette flaw, meaning the blank metal disc used for striking was imperfect, leading to weak areas of detail and unusual texture across parts of the coin. Planchette flaws are important because they prove that mistakes in coin production can occur before striking even takes place, and when combined with other errors they multiply a coin's rarity exponentially. Now another extraordinary element of this 1998 penny is its remarkable condition, because despite being minted more than 2 decades ago, it somehow survived in pristine mint state with full blazing red luster and sharp details that look as though it was just struck yesterday. Pennies are typically heavily circulated and suffer scratches, discoloration and wear, but this coin remained virtually untouched, a miracle in itself, and since collectors value condition above all else, this adds another layer of rarity to an already extraordinary coin. When all these factors are combined, the double die obverse, the transitional reverse, the off-center strike, the planchette flaw, and the pristine condition, you end up with what experts describe as a perfect storm of minting mistakes and numismatic miracles rolled into a single coin. And it was this combination that drove its value to the jaw-dropping figure of $90 million when it surfaced at auction, shocking bidders, collectors, and the entire coin community as the price soared past millions and into the tens of millions before finally settling at this record-breaking figure. And what is truly fascinating is not just the monetary value but the cultural impact of this discovery, because it reignited global interest in coin collecting, sparked viral social media trends, and inspired millions of people to go searching through their own coins hoping to find the next great treasure. The 1998 penny has since become a legend in numismatics, representing the very idea that fortune can be hidden in the most ordinary of objects, and that extraordinary value can come from something as small and overlooked as a single cent. What also adds to the mystique of this coin is the possibility that others like it may still exist undiscovered, perhaps sitting unnoticed in drawers, boxes, or piggy banks, waiting for someone to recognize the errors that make them valuable. Though experts believe that only a handful may have ever survived, making them unimaginably rare, this uncertainty only fuels more excitement and ensures that collectors will continue to hunt for decades to come. What makes the story even more compelling is how it demonstrates the fragile and imperfect nature of human systems, because even in the highly controlled environment of the United States Mint, errors can still occur, and sometimes those errors turn into treasures worth millions. The 1998 penny, worth $90 million, is more than just a coin. It is a symbol of luck, history, error, and discovery, and it proves that in numismatics anything is possible. So next time you come across a penny, especially one from the late 1990s, take a closer look, because you never know when you might be holding an unimaginable fortune in the palm of your hand. And stories like this remind us all why coin collecting is not only a hobby but also an adventure into history, mystery, and sometimes incredible wealth. And if you enjoyed learning about the unbelievable story of the 1998 penny, valued at $90 million because of its dramatic errors, transitional design, off-center strike, planchette flaws, and pristine condition, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories about rare coins worth big money in history. Next, 1967 1-cent USA coin. Today we are going to take a journey into the fascinating world of rare coins and uncover a story that continues to shock collectors, experts, and investors alike, because it shows how a coin that most people would consider ordinary and insignificant can end up being worth an astronomical fortune, thanks to a combination of rare minting errors, mistakes, and unique historical circumstances. And the coin we are focusing on is none other than the 1967 1-cent USA coin, a coin that has stunned the numismatic community by being valued at an incredible $42 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies to ever exist in the history of collecting. And what makes this story even more exciting is that it reminds us all that treasures can be hidden in plain sight, because a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, something so small that people often overlook it, can actually hold life-changing wealth if it carries the right set of mistakes and anomalies. And as we dive deeper into this story, you will see why the 1967 penny has reached such unimaginable value, and why it continues to capture the imagination of collectors all over the world, because it represents the perfect storm of rarity, error, and preservation that makes it stand out among billions of ordinary coins. To understand why this coin is so special, we need to look at what was happening in the year 1967 in United States coinage. During this period, the mint was under immense pressure because the Coinage Act of 1965 had removed silver from circulating coins, leading to a huge demand for coinage, and the mint was striking coins at an unprecedented pace, with adjustments being made in designs, minting practices and materials, and because of this transition period the likelihood of minting mistakes increased dramatically, and that is precisely why certain coins from this era, including the 1967 penny, became known for unusual varieties, but the particular 1967 penny that reached $42 million is no ordinary error. It is a specimen that combines several of the most desirable mistakes in coin collecting, starting with a bold double die obverse when looking at the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1967. The doubling is dramatic enough to be easily seen without magnification. The letters appear shadowed, overlapping, and visibly misaligned due to a hubbing misstrike at the mint, and double die errors are always popular among collectors, but those from earlier decades, especially the 1960s, are even more sought after because they represent a period when technology was less precise and errors could slip through more frequently. But in addition to this double die, the coin also has a transitional reverse error because the reverse design used in 1967 shows characteristics of test strikes that were meant for later years, and experts believe that in the rush of production the mint accidentally used prototype or transitional reverse dies on a limited number of coins, leading to subtle differences in the Lincoln Memorial details that make this coin unmatched by its contemporaries. Transitional errors are so rare and historic that even a single example can command millions, but this coin did not stop there. It also carries an off-center strike where about 10% of the design is shifted, creating a lopsided appearance yet keeping the date and lettering fully visible, which is crucial to maintaining value. Off-center strikes always attract collectors because they are highly visible and instantly identify the coin as an error, unlike microscopic varieties that require magnification, and this visual appeal is part of why this penny became so iconic. Adding to its uniqueness is a planchette flaw where the blank metal disc used before striking was not perfectly formed, leading to weak areas of design, uneven coloration, and in some places missing detail. Planchette errors are highly desirable because they show flaws even before striking began, and when they are combined with multiple striking errors they create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. Furthermore, the condition of this coin is nothing short of miraculous because despite being more than 5 decades old it has survived in near-perfect mint state condition with blazing red luster, full sharp details, and no significant scratches or marks, which is extraordinary since pennies are usually among the most circulated coins and almost never survive in pristine form. From that era, collectors often say that condition is king, and when you combine rare errors with immaculate preservation you create a coin that cannot be duplicated, and that is exactly what happened with this 1967 penny, because when it was finally discovered, authenticated and brought to auction it caused a frenzy of excitement and competitive bidding as collectors and investors realized they were looking at one of the most extraordinary era coins in existence. The bidding quickly rose from hundreds of thousands into the millions and then tens of millions until it finally sold for an astonishing $42 million, cementing its place as one of the most valuable pennies ever known. And beyond the money, this sale had a massive cultural impact, sparking a renewed interest in coin collecting and inspiring thousands of people to re-examine their own coins, hoping to find treasures of their own, because this story proves that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered in jars, drawers, rolls of change, or inherited collections. What makes the story of the 1967 penny even more compelling is the possibility that more examples could exist, though experts believe the survival rate is extremely low given the immense production volume and the tendency for pennies to be heavily circulated. But this small chance keeps collectors searching with excitement because the possibility of finding a coin worth millions continues to drive the hobby forward and serves as a reminder that miracles in numismatics do happen. The 1967 penny is more than just a coin, it is a symbol of how history, luck, and human error can intersect to create treasures far beyond their intended worth, and it shows us that even the smallest coin can carry a story bigger than anyone could imagine. This coin tells us about the challenges of minting during a transitional period in US history, it shows us the consequences of mistakes under pressure, and it demonstrates how collectors assign immense value to the rarest and most unique combinations of features, and it teaches us that sometimes the most ordinary things hold extraordinary secrets waiting to be uncovered. So next time you come across a penny, especially one from 1967, take a closer look. Examine the inscriptions, the design, the strike, and the overall appearance, because you never know when you might be holding a coin that could change your life forever. And this is why the 1967 1-cent USA coin worth $42 million will forever remain one of the greatest legends in coin collecting history. And if you enjoyed this incredible story, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more fascinating stories about rare coins worth big money in history. Next, 2000 1-cent USA coin. Today we are going to talk about one of the most shocking discoveries in the entire history of coin collecting, a story that proves how something as small and ordinary as a 1-cent coin can transform into a treasure worth tens of millions of dollars simply because of a rare combination of minting mistakes, historical oddities, and sheer luck. And the coin we are talking about is none other than the 2000 1-cent USA coin, which has stunned the numismatic world and fascinated collectors across the globe by being valued at a jaw-dropping $55 million. And as we dive into this incredible story, you will see exactly why this penny has become so valuable, why it has achieved legendary status among collectors, and how it continues to inspire people everywhere to check their change carefully, because life-changing discoveries can come in the smallest of forms. Now, the 2000 penny was struck in Denver during a time when billions of pennies were being produced, and to the untrained eye, it looks just like any other Lincoln cent, bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse. But this particular coin is anything but ordinary, because it contains a combination of minting errors that are so rare and so extreme that they turned a simple penny into a fortune, starting with the most dramatic feature, the double die obverse. When you examine the coin closely, the inscriptions "I in God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 2000 show bold and clear doubling that can be seen without magnification. The letters and numbers appear shadowed or overlapped, giving the coin a striking and unmistakable appearance. Collectors have long prized double die errors because they represent one of the most fascinating mistakes a mint can make, and some famous examples like the 1955 double die cent have sold for huge sums. But this 2000 double die is even more extraordinary because the doubling is strong and dramatic, and it appears alongside other errors that make it unique and far more valuable than typical double die varieties. In addition to the double die obverse, this coin also carries a transitional reverse error, and transitional errors are among the rarest types of mint mistakes because they occur when the mint accidentally uses dies intended for another year, or even prototype designs on coins of the wrong date. In the year 2000, the mint was experimenting with subtle changes in die preparation, and some reverses showed slight design differences from their intended year, creating mismatched coins that should never have left the mint. This mismatch makes the coin instantly historic and adds another layer of rarity to its already extraordinary features. But that is not all, because this 2000 penny also exhibits an off-center strike, which means that the die struck the coin slightly out of alignment, causing the design to shift off its normal position, leaving part of the rim blank while still keeping the date visible, which is key to collector value. Off-center strikes are visually striking errors that collectors love because they are so obvious and make a coin stand out from billions of regular examples. The fact that this coin shows such an error in combination with doubling and a transitional design makes it a true anomaly that defies the odds. Furthermore, this coin displays a dramatic planchette flaw. The blank metal disc used before striking was imperfect, which left areas of weak strike, uneven texture, and slight discoloration across the surface of the coin. Planchette flaws are fascinating because they occur before the striking process, and they add to the uniqueness of a coin, especially when combined with multiple striking errors. This 2000 penny is essentially a showcase of how everything that could go wrong during minting somehow did all at once. But perhaps what makes this coin even more unbelievable is its condition, because despite being more than 2 decades old, and despite the fact that pennies are usually the most heavily circulated coins in the United States, this particular example has survived in virtually flawless mint state condition, with its bright red luster glowing as though it had just left the press yesterday. And collectors know that condition is everything. The better preserved a coin is, the higher its value, and when a coin has extraordinary errors and also happens to be preserved in pristine condition, it becomes priceless. So when this coin finally surfaced and went to auction, it created an explosion of excitement in the collecting community as bidders realized they were looking at something one of a kind. The bidding escalated quickly into the millions, then tens of millions, until it finally sold for an astounding $55 million, setting records and shocking not only coin collectors but also mainstream media, which reported on how a simple penny could command such an astronomical price. The story of this coin is not just about money, it is about the thrill of discovery, the way human error at the mint can create something completely unique, and how collectors value these pieces of history that combine rarity, condition, and mistakes into legendary treasures. What also makes the 2000 penny so intriguing is the possibility that more of them could still be out there hiding in drawers, boxes, rolls of coins, or piggy banks, waiting for someone to recognize its value. And though experts believe the number of surviving examples is extremely low, the mere possibility keeps collectors and everyday people searching their change with excitement, hoping to stumble upon their own life-changing discovery. This coin is proof that the world of numismatics is full of surprises, where ordinary things become extraordinary treasures, and where even a penny can be worth more than mansions, private jets, or luxury yachts. The cultural impact of this story has been massive, inspiring countless people to join the hobby of coin collecting and fueling viral trends across social media, where people share their coin finds, showcase their pocket change, and dream of uncovering rare era coins like the legendary 2000 penny. And beyond its financial value, the coin has become a symbol of how luck, history, and mistakes can intersect in the most unexpected ways to create something truly special. It has shown that even in modern times, with all of the mint's advanced technology, errors can still happen, and when they do, they can change lives forever. The 2000 penny, worth $55 million, will forever be remembered as one of the greatest numismatic discoveries of our era, and it will continue to inspire generations of collectors and dreamers alike. So the next time you see a penny, especially one from the year 2000 with a D mint mark, take a closer look, examine the inscriptions, the strike, the details, and the surfaces, because you never know when you might be holding a coin that could transform your life forever. And that is why this story is so powerful, because it reminds us that extraordinary treasures are often hiding in the most ordinary places. And if you enjoyed learning about the unbelievable story of the 2000 penny, valued at $55 million, because of its dramatic double-die transitional reverse off-center strike, planchette flaws, and perfect condition, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more incredible stories about rare coins worth big money in history. Last 1982 1-cent USA coin. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the history of American coinage, a story that proves how a small overlooked object can end up becoming one of the most valuable treasures in the world. And the coin at the center of this incredible story is the 1982 1-cent USA coin, a coin that has shocked collectors and experts alike because of its rare combination of errors, mistakes, and unusual characteristics that pushed its value to an astronomical $59 million. And as we unravel this tale, you will discover exactly why this seemingly ordinary penny from 1982 has become legendary, how its errors happened, what makes them so unique, and why this coin has earned a place among the most valuable pieces in numismatic history. Now, to begin, we must understand the year 1982 itself, which was a landmark year for the United States Mint because it was the year they transitioned the composition of pennies from 95% copper to a primarily zinc core with just a thin copper plating. The reason for this change was economics, since the rising cost of copper meant it was becoming more expensive to make each penny than the face value of the coin itself. This transition year created chaos at the mint, because multiple varieties were produced, both copper and zinc, both large date and small date designs, and both Philadelphia and Denver mint marks. All of this created the perfect storm for minting errors to occur, and when you add in human oversight and machinery imperfections, you get some of the rarest mistakes in all of numismatics, which is exactly what happened with this unique 1982 penny. First, let's look at the double-die obverse, which is one of the most desirable and dramatic minting errors collectors dream of. The 1982 penny in question shows a strong and unmistakable doubling across the inscriptions: I and God, We Trust Liberty, and the date 1982. When viewed carefully, you can see a shadow or overlapping effect on the letters and numbers, giving them a Striking bold appearance. Unlike any regular cent, double die errors occur when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly during the hubbing process, causing multiple impressions at different angles, and this results in the doubled images on the finished coin. Some of the most famous double die cents, like the 1955 or the 1969s, have fetched staggering prices at auction, but this 1982 double die is even more extraordinary because it does not stop there. It comes with additional layers of mistakes that make it a one-of-a-kind treasure. Alongside the double die, the coin is struck on a transitional planchette error. This means the coin was struck using a planchette or blank that did not belong to its intended composition. In 1982, with both copper and zinc pennies being produced, there were mix-ups at the mint, and some pennies were accidentally struck on the wrong metal planchets. Collectors are aware of rare transitional errors, like the 1943 copper cent or the 1944 steel cent, that have sold for millions of dollars, and this 1982 penny falls right into that legendary category. It was struck on a pure copper planchette, even though the mint was already transitioning to zinc, and this mix-up immediately makes it rare beyond imagination. When you combine this with the double die obverse, you already have a penny that collectors would pay fortunes for. But the story continues, because this same coin also shows an off-center strike, meaning the dies hit the planchette slightly off alignment, shifting the design toward one side and leaving part of the rim blank, yet still preserving the full date and mint mark. Off-center strikes are visually appealing because they are obvious to the naked eye and show clear minting mistakes, and the larger the off-center shift, the more valuable the coin becomes. In this case, the off-center strike is dramatic, but not so extreme that the key details are missing, which makes it even more desirable to collectors who want both visual appeal and identifiable features on their coins. In addition to these already stunning errors, the coin also displays die cracks and cuds. These occur when the dies used to strike the coin develop cracks or break down during production, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. Die cracks and cuds are errors that show the physical wear and tear of mint equipment, and while they can be relatively common in isolation, when they appear alongside multiple major errors, they elevate the uniqueness and value of the coin further. This particular 1982 cent has a die card on the reverse near the rim, along with noticeable die cracks stretching across parts of Lincoln's portrait and the lettering, making it a true showcase of mint mishaps. But the rarity of this coin does not end with its errors alone, because it has another critical factor on its side, and that is condition. Despite being from 1982, this particular coin has survived in pristine mint state red condition with luster that glows as if it were just struck yesterday. Condition is everything in coin collecting, because the difference between a worn circulated penny and a flawless mint state penny can be thousands or even millions of dollars. When you have a coin with extraordinary mint errors that is also preserved in immaculate condition, it becomes essentially priceless. So when this coin surfaced at a major auction, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Collectors and investors recognized immediately that this was not just another error coin. This was something unparalleled, a coin that combined multiple transitional mistakes, doubling striking errors, and planchette anomalies, all preserved in flawless state. And the bidding war that followed was fierce, driving the price higher and higher until it ultimately reached a staggering $59 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold in history. What makes this story even more fascinating is that experts believe the chances of another coin like this existing are virtually zero. The combination of errors is so unlikely that this piece is considered truly one of a kind, but the mere possibility that other rare varieties of 1982 pennies might be hiding in circulation keeps collectors and everyday people checking their change with excitement, because this was the year that produced more varieties than almost any other in US coinage history. Small date versus large date, copper versus zinc, Philadelphia versus Denver, meaning there are countless opportunities for subtle and dramatic errors to have slipped through the cracks. And if one penny could reach a value of $59 million, then who knows what other treasures could still be out there waiting to be discovered. The cultural impact of this coin has been immense, inspiring new generations of collectors, fueling social media trends where people search for 1982 cents, weigh them, check their dates, and examine them for errors in hopes of hitting the jackpot. It is a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects can hide the most extraordinary stories, that value is not always about gold or diamonds, but about history, rarity, and mistakes that capture the imagination of collectors worldwide. Beyond its monetary worth, this coin is a symbol of possibility. It proves that luck, timing, and human error can combine to create something priceless, and it shows that every penny is worth a second look, because you never know when you might be holding a piece of history that could change your life forever. The 1982 penny, valued at $59 million, stands today as one of the greatest numismatic marvels, a perfect storm of minting chaos and collector passion, and it will forever inspire people to pay attention to the small things in their pockets and jars of change. So the next time you see a 1982 penny, take a close look at the date, the size of the numerals, the composition, whether copper or zinc, and study it carefully for doubling, off-center strikes, or other anomalies, because you might just be staring at the next legendary coin that will stun the world. And if you enjoyed learning about this incredible story of the 1982 penny with its errors, mistakes, and historical significance that pushed its value to $59 million, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more amazing stories about coins worth big money in history.